Gold Thread Studios. The Celestial Veil. Episode 3. The Bridge Between Worlds. Chapter 1. The World That Would Not Wake. There were 7 worlds. Long Wei knew that now. For most of his life, he had believed there was only one. One sky. One history. One world tree whose roots disappeared into soil no scholar had ever been able to measure. Then the veil opened, and everything Long Wei understood about creation became embarrassingly small. He stood now beneath the branches of the world tree, watching 6 golden threads stretch into the heavens. 6 roads. 6 promises. 6 reminders that somewhere beyond Elysian, entire civilizations were waiting. Some knowingly. Some unknowingly. And at least one. In its sleep. Long Wei tightened his hand around the keeper's staff. Beside him, Jian studied the threads. "You're doing that thing again." Long Wei did not look at him. "What thing?" "Thinking so loudly everyone can hear you." Feng Lian smiled. "He does that." Long Wei finally turned. "I am standing silently." "Yes," Jian said, dramatically. Ion laughed. The boy sat upon one of the world tree's enormous roots, his feet swinging several feet above the ground. Long Wei pointed at him. "You are supposed to be studying the Chronicle." "I was." "And?" "It stopped talking to me." Long Wei looked toward the ancient book. The first Chronicle rested open beside Ion. Its pages were blank. That was never comforting. The Chronicle contained memories older than kingdoms. When it had nothing to say, it usually meant something had gone terribly wrong. Long Wei approached. "What happened?" Ion's smile disappeared. "It can't hear Myria anymore." The others became still. Long Wei looked toward the 6 threads. One was dimming. Not broken. Not yet. But fading. "Myria," Feng Lian whispered. "The world of dreams." Long Wei touched the thread. Cold rushed through him. Then, voices. Millions of them. Whispering. Laughing. Crying. Dreaming. Long Wei pulled his hand away. Jian caught his shoulder. "What did you see?" "People." "Doing what?" "Sleeping." Ion looked up. "All of them." Long Wei frowned. "An entire world?" Ion nodded. "Except one." The Chronicle suddenly turned a page. A drawing appeared. A young woman standing beside a black tower. Around her, an entire city slept. One sentence formed beneath the image. "She has been waiting for the keeper." Long Wei sighed. Jian smiled. "There it is." "What?" "The part where something becomes our problem." Feng Lian stepped toward the bridge. "No." She looked at Long Wei. "The part where it was always our problem. We simply hadn't found it yet." Long Wei met her eyes. That was worse. Because she was right. He lifted the staff. The golden thread brightened. A doorway opened. Beyond it, night. A city stretched beneath violet skies. Thousands of lanterns floated above streets filled with sleeping people. Long Wei stepped through. Feng Lian followed. Then Jian. Ion. Amaya. Kalira. And finally Lasara. 7 travelers entered Myria. Not one person noticed. A merchant slept standing behind his stall. A horse slept in the road. A little girl slept against her mother's shoulder. Musicians slept beside silent instruments. Even birds rested upon rooftops as though dawn had simply forgotten to arrive. Then footsteps sounded. One person walked toward them. A woman. Dark curls. Tired eyes. A sword hanging uselessly at her side. She stopped several paces away. Her eyes settled on Long Wei's staff, and she began to cry. You came. Long Wei lowered the staff. You were expecting us? For 317 years. Jian slowly turned toward Long Wei. Long Wei muttered. Don't. I didn't say anything. You were going to. The woman almost laughed. Almost. My name is Myria. Long Wei looked across the sleeping city. What happened here? Myra's expression changed. We dreamed. She looked toward the black tower rising beyond the river. And something dreamed back. Far above them. The sky moved. Not the clouds. The darkness behind them. Something enormous shifted beyond the stars. And for the first time since entering Myria, Long Wei heard another person speak. Not Myria. Not his companions. A voice from everywhere. Keeper. Long Wei looked upward. The voice whispered again. You finally came back. The staff trembled in his hand. Because Long Wei knew that voice. He had heard it before. Behind the sealed door. Inside forgotten memories. Beneath the world tree. The prisoner. Except now. The first chronicle gave it another name. Letters appeared across its open page. The Eighth Keeper. Long Wei stared. 7 worlds. 7 roads. 7 keepers. That was what they had been told. But the chronicle had just remembered. 8. And somewhere inside Myria's endless dream, the forgotten keeper was waiting. Chapter 2. The keeper they erased. Myria had learned not to wake people. She had tried. For years. At first, she shook them. Called their names. Poured water over their faces. Rang the bells in the highest tower. Nothing worked. Then she discovered something worse. The harder she tried to wake them, the deeper they dreamed. So eventually, Myria stopped trying. She walked among them instead. Kept fires burning. Moved children out of the rain. Covered sleeping elders when the nights became cold. She became caretaker to an entire world that did not know she was there. And every night, the black tower grew taller. Long Wei looked toward it. How tall was it when this started? Myria pointed toward a small building beside the river. About that. The black tower now disappeared into the clouds. Jian exhaled. That seems bad. Thank you, Myria said. I hadn't noticed. Long Wei looked at her. Myria shrugged. 300 years alone does something to your manners. I like her, Feng Lian said. Of course you do. They crossed the river. Myria changed as they walked. Streets became forests. Forests became courtyards. Courtyards disappeared beneath shallow water. Long Wei saw memories floating around them like lanterns. A wedding. A birth. A fisherman returning home. A mother embracing her daughter. None belonged to him. They belonged to the sleepers. The dreams are leaking, Ion whispered. Myria nodded. They've been doing that for years. Where do they go? She pointed toward the tower. Long Wei stopped. The black structure wasn't merely standing among the dreams. It was consuming them. Thousands of luminous memories drifted toward it. The tower absorbed each one. What does it want with them? Amaya asked. Myra's voice softened. To build a door. The first chronicle opened. A drawing formed across 2 pages. 7 worlds surrounded a great tree. Long Wei knew the image. Then another figure appeared. Standing not within any world, but between them. A person made from golden threads. Ion touched the page. The 8th. The chronicle wrote. Before the 7 roads, there was one who walked between them. The page turned. Caelum. Long Wei read the name aloud. The entire world shook. Myria grabbed his arm. Don't say it again. Why? The tower answered. A crack appeared from its highest point to its foundation. Golden light escaped. Then came the voice. Because I remember it. Something stepped from the tower. At first it was only darkness. Then it became human. A tall figure. Long hair. A face that seemed to change whenever Long Wei tried to remember it. Man. Woman. Young. Old. Then, the face became Long Wei's own. Long Wei stared at himself. Jian leaned closer. I prefer the original. Thank you. I wasn't complimenting you. The figure changed again. It became the gardener. Long Wei's humor vanished. Don't. The familiar old face smiled. You still miss me. Long Wei tightened his grip around the staff. You aren't him. No. The face disappeared. Darkness returned. But you remember him. The figure stepped closer. And I have had nothing but memories for 3,000 years. The chronicle's pages began turning. Images flashed. 8 keepers. 7 worlds. 1 keeper standing between them. Caelum. Not ruler of an 8th kingdom. Guardian of the roads themselves. The bridge made flesh. Long Wei watched the memory unfold. Caelum laughing beside the ancient keepers. Opening roads. Carrying messages between civilizations. Bringing water to worlds in drought. Seeds to worlds suffering famine. Knowledge to places isolated by oceans and stars. The 7 worlds had once functioned as one vast living system. Then, something entered the roads. Pale beings. Faceless. Hungry. They moved between worlds, consuming the golden threads. Wherever they passed, bridges disappeared. Civilizations became isolated. Caelum fought them. But there were too many. The 7 keepers made a terrible decision. They severed the roads. And Caelum remained trapped between them. The memory ended. Long Wei stared at the shadow. You weren't imprisoned because you were dangerous. Caelum answered quietly. I was imprisoned because there was no other way to close the roads. Ion stepped closer. But you forgot. The darkness trembled. Yes, 3,000 years without sunlight. Without voices. Without knowing whether the worlds he protected had survived. Eventually, Caelum remembered only one thing. That everyone had left him. Long Wei lowered his staff. That's why you've been trying to escape. I wanted to go home. Where? Caelum looked toward the sleeping world. I no longer knew. Myra's expression hardened. So you used our dreams. Caelum turned toward her. For the first time. Shame entered his voice. Yes, you kept my people asleep. I needed memories to rebuild the road. My mother has been sleeping for 3 centuries. Caelum said nothing. Myra's eyes filled. You were lonely. Her voice broke. So you made an entire world lonely with you. The shadow bowed its head. No excuse came. Long Wei respected that more than an apology. Ion suddenly looked toward the tower. Something's wrong. Jian sighed. More wrong. Ion ignored him. The door. Golden light appeared within the crack. Caelum turned. His darkness recoiled. No. Long Wei raised the staff. What? I stopped building it. The crack widened. A pale hand pushed through. Then another. Long fingers curled around the tower. Myria stepped backward. What is that? Caelum's voice changed. Fear. Real fear. The reason the roads were closed. The tower split open. Beyond it, there was no world. Only an endless pale emptiness filled with moving shapes. One creature pulled itself through. Smooth white skin. No eyes. No nose. Only a vertical mouth. Inside its mouth, pieces of golden thread hung between translucent teeth. Long Wei understood immediately. It ate bridges. Feng Lian's hands ignited. Amaya raised her spear. Kilira drew her blade. Jian's crimson light surrounded his fingers. Long Wei stepped forward. But Caelum moved in front of him. No. Long Wei stared. You just said they're the reason the worlds were separated. They are. Then move. Caelum didn't. Instead, he looked at the creature. And something changed. The pale one did not attack. It reached toward a golden thread. Touched it. Then whispered. One word. So quietly Long Wei almost missed it. Home. Ion heard. His eyes widened. Long Wei. Another pale one appeared. Then another. Each touched the broken bridge. Each whispered the same word. Home. 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 Long Wei lowered the staff. Feng Lian looked at him. Wei. Wait. The pale ones continued emerging. Hundreds now. But none attacked. They wandered toward the fragments of dreams, touching images of families, homes, children, cities. A creature touched the dream of a woman returning to her village. Its entire body trembled. Long Wei finally understood. They aren't eating the bridges because they're hungry. Caelum stared. Long Wei looked at him. They're searching. For what? Myria whispered. Ion answered. The same thing he was. He pointed toward Caelum. Somewhere to belong. The first chronicle opened. New words appeared. They were born from broken roads. Long Wei read silently. When the ancient bridges were first severed, fragments of the between had been torn loose. Magic without destination. Memory without identity. Pieces of roads that led nowhere. Over thousands of years, those fragments became alive. They watched travelers cross between worlds. Everyone came from somewhere. Everyone belonged somewhere. Except them. Caelum sank to his knees. I fought them. His voice was human now. Not the great echo that had haunted the Vale. Just a man. I thought they were destroying everything. Long Wei approached. You didn't know. I helped close the worlds because of them. You were protecting people. And I spent 3,000 years hating them. Long Wei looked toward the pale ones. Then perhaps it's time someone stopped. Myria stared at him. What are you going to do? Long Wei smiled faintly. The same thing we've been doing badly for 3,000 years. And what's that? Open a door. Jian groaned. Of course. Long Wei planted the keeper's staff into Myria's soil. Nothing happened. He tried again. Still nothing. The first chronicle wrote, One world cannot restore what 7 worlds broke. Long Wei stared. Then smiled. Jian knew that smile. No. What? Whatever you're thinking. You don't even know what I'm thinking. I've known you too long. Long Wei touched the golden thread connecting Myria to the world tree. He sent one thought through it. Not an order. An invitation. Help us. Far away. Oro answered first. The mountains began singing. Their deep voices crossed the bridge. Myria's stolen dreams lifted into the sky. One by one. They began traveling toward Oro. The living mountains had spent centuries unable to dream. Now, Myria had dreams enough for both worlds. As each dream crossed, a sleeper awakened. 1 woman, then 10, then hundreds. Myria stopped breathing. A child sat upright beside the river. A merchant opened his eyes. Birds erupted from rooftops. Across Myria, an entire world began waking. Myria? She froze. A woman's voice. Behind her. Myria turned. An elderly woman stood beneath a flowering tree. Confused. Trembling. Alive. Myria's sword fell from her hand. Mother. 300 years of loneliness ended in one embrace. Long Wei looked away. Some memories belonged to the people making them. Then another bridge opened. Shenra. Blue water spiraled across Myria's sky. Tarek appeared. Behind him, Thalasser. Then Valor answered. Amaya's people. Then Selen. Then Nereith. Then Elysian. 7 worlds. 7 roads. One by one. They chose to open. Golden threads crossed above Myria. Caelum stared upward. His face changed. For the first time. Long Wei could see him clearly. Bronze skin. Long dark hair. Eyes filled with moving stars. Caelum touched his own face. I remember. Ion smiled. Yourself? Caelum nodded. Myself. The pale ones gathered beneath the bridges. Thousands. Waiting. Long Wei looked toward Caelum. They need somewhere to go. Caelum looked toward the empty darkness between the 7 worlds. There is nowhere. Long Wei smiled. Then we'll make somewhere. The world tree heard him. Across Elysian. Its oldest root moved. It entered the between. Then another. And another. Golden roots wove themselves through the emptiness. Not creating another kingdom. Not another world. Something simpler. A crossroads. A place between destinations. A place that belonged to anyone who had nowhere else to belong. The first pale one touched a root. Its white skin changed. Eyes appeared. Then a mouth. A face. It looked down at its hands. And began crying. Others followed. One by one. Hundreds. Thousands. Finding shape. Finding memory. Finding themselves. The first chronicle opened. One sentence appeared. The prison is gone. Caelum looked at Long Wei. What happens now? Long Wei looked across the awakening world. Now, he smiled. We go home. Then came a sound. 3 knocks. Knock. 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 Everyone froze. Long Wei slowly turned. There, in the middle of Myria, stood a red door. No golden thread connected it to the 7 worlds. The first chronicle had not summoned it. Caelum's face went pale. I didn't open that. The knocking came again. Then a woman's voice spoke from the other side. Hello. A pause. Can anyone hear me? The first chronicle opened. For the first time since Long Wei had known it. Every page was blank. Chapter 3. The door that should not exist. The red door waited. No vines surrounded it. No golden symbols marked its frame. No ancient stone held it upright. It simply stood in the middle of Myria. Alone. Bright redwood. Black hinges. A brass handle. Ordinary. And somehow, that made it more frightening. Long Wei had learned to understand impossible things. World trees. Living mountains. Dreams that became roads. Creatures born from broken bridges. But an ordinary door standing where no door should exist? That bothered him. Deeply. Knock. 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 The woman spoke again. Hello. Long Wei looked toward Caelum. You're certain this isn't yours? Caelum stared at the door. I was the keeper of the between for thousands of years. That wasn't my question. No. Caelum frowned. I have never seen it. Jian immediately stepped backward. Excellent. Long Wei looked at him. Where are you going? Anywhere else. Feng Lian smiled. For once, Jian may have the right idea. Ion approached the door. Long Wei caught him before he reached the handle. The boy sighed. You always do that. Because you always touch things. How else am I supposed to learn? Books. Ion looked toward the first chronicle. Every page remained blank. That book doesn't know either. Long Wei stared at it. Unfortunately, the child had a point. Myria stood with her mother several yards away. People throughout Myria were still awakening. Families found one another. Children cried. Strangers embraced. 3 centuries of dreams were ending around them. Yet gradually, everyone noticed the door. The celebration quieted. Long Wei understood why. Myria had just escaped one impossible doorway. No one wanted another. He approached. Can you hear me? Silence. Then, yes. The woman sounded relieved. Oh, thank God. Long Wei frowned. He didn't know that name. He looked toward Jian. Jian shrugged. Long Wei continued. Who are you? My name is Mei. Where are you? My grandmother's apartment. Long Wei waited. Nothing. That doesn't help. I know. The woman gave a nervous laugh. I don't exactly know how to explain this either. Long Wei touched the door. No vision came. No memory. Nothing. What world? What? What world are you from? Another pause. Then, Earth. The first chronicle moved. Everyone turned. One page fluttered. Then another. The book searched itself. Hundreds of pages turned. Thousands. Faster. Faster. Then stopped. Blink. Ion whispered. It doesn't know Earth. Caelum looked genuinely disturbed. That isn't possible. Long Wei glanced at him. Today has been full of those. Mei continued speaking. I was helping my grandmother clean. We moved an old wardrobe. There was a door behind it. Was it always there? No. You're certain. My grandmother has lived here for 52 years. And? She says there has never been a door. Long Wei frowned. What made you open it? Mei was silent. Then, curiosity. Feng Lian laughed. Long Wei looked at her. Don't. She really is like you. I am considerably more cautious. Jian coughed. Long Wei ignored him. Mei, Long Wei said, don't come through. I wasn't planning to. Good. Because I can see you now. Long Wei froze. What? The door is changing. Golden light appeared around the frame. Caelum immediately stepped forward. The world tree's roots beneath Myria began glowing. Ion whispered. Long Wei. The red door became transparent. For one heartbeat, 2 worlds saw each other. Long Wei saw a small room. Bookshelves. A table. Strange lamps glowing without flame. A window overlooking an enormous city. Towers of glass rose beneath a night sky. Lights covered the buildings like artificial stars. And standing in front of him was a young woman. Mei. Black hair. Loose sweater. Bare feet. One hand gripping a small glowing rectangle. Her eyes were enormous. She stared at Long Wei. Then Feng Lian. Then Caelum. Then the luminous world tree visible behind them. Oh. Long Wei nodded. That was approximately my reaction. An older woman entered the room. May, Grandma. The woman looked toward the doorway. She stopped. The color disappeared from her face. Her eyes moved past Long Wei, toward the world tree. And she began crying. May turned. Grandma? The elderly woman approached slowly. She touched the doorway. You opened it. May looked completely confused. You know about this? Her grandmother laughed through tears. Know about it? She looked at Long Wei. I've been waiting my entire life for someone to answer. Long Wei stepped closer. Who are you? My name is Lianchen. She bowed her head. My family has guarded this doorway for 900 years. No one spoke. Even Jian had no comment. May stared at her grandmother. 900 years? Yes. You've known about a magical door for my entire life? Yes. And you didn't tell me? No. Why? Because you would have opened it. May opened her mouth. Closed it. Then nodded. Fair. Long Wei almost smiled. Then Lianchen said something that erased it. The gardener told us not to. Long Wei stopped breathing. What did you say? The gardener. The elderly woman studied him. You knew him. It wasn't a question. Long Wei swallowed. Yes. The old gardener. The man who had guided Long Wei before Long Wei understood what he was becoming. The man who always seemed to know which questions mattered. The man who had returned to the world tree carrying secrets he had never explained. Long Wei looked toward the red door. He came to Earth? Lianchen nodded. Long ago. How? I don't know. Why? That? She turned toward a wooden cabinet. I may be able to answer. She opened it. From the lowest shelf, she removed a bundle wrapped in faded green cloth. May moved closer. I've seen that. Her grandmother smiled. You've dusted around it for years. What is it? The reason our family stayed in this apartment. She unwrapped the cloth. A book rested inside. Small. Ancient. Green binding. A single golden leaf pressed into the cover. The moment Long Wei saw it, his chronicle scale burned against his skin. Ion gasped. Caelum stepped backward. Even the first chronicle reacted. Its cover slammed shut. Long Wei whispered. What is that? Lianchen held the book carefully. The gardener called it the Seed Chronicle. The world tree shook. Across Myria, golden leaves appeared in the violet sky. Long Wei stared. The first chronicle contained memory. Everything the 7 worlds had chosen to preserve. But this book felt different. Not memory. Possibility. Can you open it? Long Wei asked. Lianchen shook her head. No one in my family ever could. She looked toward him. The gardener said we shouldn't try. What else did he say? That one day, someone would restore the 7 roads. Her eyes moved toward Long Wei's staff. And when that happened, the book would choose whether it was time. The Seed Chronicle opened. May nearly dropped it. Green light flooded the apartment. At the same moment, the world tree erupted with golden light. The 7 restored roads appeared across Myria's sky. Shenra. Valor. Solen. Oro. Nereith. Elysian. Myria. And between them, Caelum's restored home. The between. But then something else appeared. A thin green thread. It stretched from the world tree, through the red door, to Earth. Long Wei whispered. No. Jian moved beside him. What? Long Wei pointed. The world tree recognizes Earth. The first chronicle opened again. This time, words appeared. Slowly. almost reluctantly. The seven were never alone. The Seed Chronicle answered from Earth. A second sentence formed. The seven were never the beginning. Long Wei's heart pounded. The page turned. An image appeared. The World Tree. But not as Long Wei knew it. The tree was enormous. Its 7 great roots reached toward the 7 worlds. Yet its branches extended much farther. Hundreds. Thousands. Each branch ended in a tiny point of light. Ion stared. Those are worlds. Caelum whispered. How many? The Seed Chronicle answered. More than you can count. Silence filled both sides of the door. Long Wei had spent his life discovering that the world was larger than he believed. Now, for the first time, he wondered whether there was an end to it at all. Mei looked at her grandmother. Did you know? Lian Qin shook her head. No. The gardener never told you? He told us only one thing. Long Wei looked toward her. What? The elderly woman's expression became serious. That the 7 worlds were seeds. Seeds for what? She looked toward the image of the enormous tree. A forest. The Seed Chronicle turned another page. Thousands of worlds disappeared. Only one remained. A single branch. Dark. No light at its end. Someone had circled it. Not recently. The ink was ancient. Beside the mark, the gardener had written something. Lian Qin went pale. Mei looked at her. What does it say? Her grandmother closed the book. Immediately. Long Wei stepped closer. What did you see? Nothing. That was definitely not nothing. Lian Qin held the chronicle against her chest. The gardener left one warning. Long Wei waited. The old woman looked through the red door. If the 7 roads ever reopen, you may explore the branches. A pause. But there is one road you must never follow. Long Wei's stomach tightened. Why? Lian Qin shook her head. He wouldn't say. Then how do we know which one? The woman slowly reopened the book. The dark branch remained. Beside it were 5 handwritten words. Long Wei read them. Where the first tree died. The red door trembled. Everyone stepped backward. The dark branch moved. Not on the page. Somewhere beyond it. A tiny light appeared. Once. Twice. Like a heartbeat. Ion whispered. Something is there. Long Wei stared. Alive? The child shook his head. I don't know. Then, from somewhere far beyond Earth, far beyond the 7 worlds, far beyond every bridge Caelum had ever walked, another sound came. Knock. 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 Not from the red door. From the dark branch. Lian Qin slammed the Seed Chronicle shut. The sound stopped. Long Wei looked at her. She looked back. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. One mystery had been solved. 7 worlds had found each other again. Caelum had remembered himself. Myria had awakened. The broken roads had been restored. But they had also discovered something far larger. The celestial veil was not a wall around 7 worlds. It was the edge of a forest. And somewhere inside that forest, something was knocking from beneath a dead tree. Feng Lian came beside Long Wei. Wei. He looked at her. We are not opening that one. Long Wei stared at the Seed Chronicle. Then at the red door. Then at Ion. I wasn't going to. Jian laughed. No one believes you. Even Long Wei smiled. Because for once, they were home. Or at least, they knew where home was. And for tonight, that was enough. Chapter 4. Where the roads lead home. For a long moment, no one moved. The seed chronicle remained closed in Lian Chen's hands. The red door stood open between Earth and Myria. And somewhere beyond everything they knew, the knocking had stopped. Long Wei preferred it that way. Where the first tree died. Jian repeated the words quietly. Long Wei looked at him. You don't need to say it again. I was thinking. Think silently. Feng Lian smiled. He learned that from you. Long Wei ignored her. He was becoming very skilled at ignoring people. Unfortunately, they were becoming equally skilled at noticing. On Earth, Mei sat beside her grandmother. The strange glowing object she had been holding earlier rested forgotten on the table. Her attention remained fixed upon the seed chronicle. So that's it? Mei asked. Our family guarded this thing for 900 years just so we could tell them not to open one particular door? Lian Chen smiled. Sometimes protecting the world means knowing which door to leave closed. Long Wei heard that. He didn't particularly enjoy hearing it. Ion apparently did. The child looked up at him. She's talking about you. I know. Caelum approached the red doorway. He studied Earth. The glass towers. The electric lights. The endless city beyond Mei's window. A world without the roads. Long Wei nodded. Apparently. And yet they survived. Mei heard him. Mostly. Caelum smiled faintly. Perhaps that was enough. No world was perfect. Not Elysian. Not Earth. Not any of the 7. Maybe survival had never required perfection. Only continuation. Long Wei looked toward the awakening city of Myria. People filled the streets now. Some were confused. Some frightened. Some laughing. Others simply stood beneath the violet sky, watching dreams drift toward Oru. 3 centuries had vanished from their lives. There would be grief tomorrow. Questions. Anger. Rebuilding. But tonight, they were awake. Myria stood beside her mother. Her face was buried against the older woman's shoulder. For 300 years, she had kept an entire world company. Now, someone was keeping her. The first chronicle opened. This time, no warning appeared. Only 7 symbols. One by one. They began glowing. Shenra. Blue. Valor. Silver. Solen. White gold. Oro. Green. Myria. Violet. Nereith. Crimson. Finally, Elysian. Gold. 7 worlds. 7 roads. Restored. Then a smaller symbol appeared between them. Caelum. The keeper touched it. The between illuminated. Golden pathways stretched from world to world. Not chains. Not walls. Roads. Open in both directions. Long Wei watched figures appear through the bridges. Tarek stood beneath the waters of Shenra. The lasser moved through the ocean behind him. On Valor. Children played beside the first stream of melted snow their generation had ever seen. Solen's people gathered beneath their new evening sky. Some were staring upward at stars. Others were sleeping naturally for the first time. Without fear. Across Oru, mountains dreamed. Flowers grew across ancient stone faces. And in Nereith, people stood beneath 3 moons, waiting. Jian saw them. His expression changed. Long Wei followed his gaze. A doorway to Nereith stood open. Kalira waited on the other side. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Jian stared at the world he had lost. The world that had forgotten him. The world that now remembered. Long Wei stepped beside him. You should go. Jian looked at him. You're getting rid of me? I've been trying for years. Jian smiled. Then the smile softened. I don't know if I belong there anymore. Long Wei looked through the bridge. Maybe belonging isn't something you return to. Jian waited. Maybe it's something you choose. Caelum extended her hand. Jian looked at it. Then at Long Wei. Don't destroy the universe while I'm gone. Long Wei frowned. That happened once. Twice. Debatable. Feng Lian interrupted. 3 times. Long Wei stared at her. Whose side are you on? Realities. Jian laughed. Then crossed the bridge. Caelum took his hand. Together. They walked beneath Nereatha's 3 moons. Myria was next. The bridge to Valor shimmered. Her grandmother waited on the other side. Arms folded. Impatient. Myria looked toward Long Wei. If I don't go now, she may come here. Long Wei nodded solemnly. Go. Immediately. Myria narrowed her eyes. Are you afraid of my grandmother? Yes. So am I. She crossed. One by one. They went home. Tarek to Shenra. Myria remained in Myria. Caelum stayed in the between. Not as prisoner. As keeper again. But before leaving, Long Wei turned toward him. What will you do? Caelum looked along the golden roads. For 3,000 years, I wanted a home. And now? Caelum smiled. Now I have 7. Long Wei liked that answer. Eventually. Only Long Wei, Feng Lian, and Ion remained before the red door. Mei stood on earth with her grandmother. Lian Chen wrapped the seed chronicle again. Keep it safe, Long Wei said. Mei raised an eyebrow. You're leaving the magical universe book with us? It survived 900 years with your family. Long Wei smiled. I've known you for less than an hour. Fair. Lian Chen placed one hand upon the door. It will open again. Long Wei looked at her. When? When it's needed. That is remarkably unhelpful. The elderly woman laughed. The gardener said you would say something like that. Long Wei became still. He talked about me? Not by name. Her smile softened. He said the next keeper would ask too many questions, open too many doors, and complain the entire time. Feng Lian covered her mouth. Long Wei stared. That could describe anyone. No, Feng Lian said. It really couldn't. Long Wei laughed. And for a moment, the gardener did not feel gone. Some people left memories behind. Others left roads. The gardener apparently left jokes 900 years in advance. Mei reached for the door. Long Wei. Yes. Will I see you again? He considered the question, then looked toward the world tree. One new branch stretched toward earth. Small. Young. But growing. Yes. Mei smiled. Good. She began closing the door, then stopped. Oh, and Long Wei? Yes. Don't open the bad door. Feng Lian laughed again. Long Wei sighed. Goodbye, Mei. The red door closed and disappeared. Silence returned to Myria. Ion looked disappointed. I liked her. So did I. Can we visit Earth? No. When? Eventually. Tomorrow. No. Next week. Ion. The child smiled. Long Wei realized he had made a terrible mistake. He had taught Ion persistence. The bridge to Elysian opened. They crossed together. The world tree welcomed them home. Its leaves had changed. Blue leaves from Shenra shimmered among gold. Silver blossoms carried Valor's cold. Small white flowers opened only when Solen entered night. Green vines from Aura wrapped gently around the lower roots. Violet lights from Myria floated between the branches like dreams. And high above, 3 crimson leaves glowed beneath Nereatha's moons. 7 worlds. Living within one tree. Long Wei sat beneath it. For once. He did nothing. No chronicle. No staff. No doorway. Just quiet. Foam Lien sat beside him. Ion curled against one of the roots and fell asleep almost immediately. Long Wei looked at the child. Should we be concerned when he sleeps now? Probably. Long Wei sighed. Foam Lien leaned against his shoulder. For several minutes. Neither spoke. Then she asked, "Are you thinking about the dark branch?" "No. Wei." "Yes." I knew it. Long Wei looked upward, where the first tree died. Somewhere beyond the 7 worlds. Another place existed. A place even the gardener feared. A place connected to something older than the world tree. But not tonight. Tonight, the roads were open. The worlds were alive. Their friends were home. That was enough. The first chronicle floated toward him. Long Wei groaned. "No." The book opened. I said no. One sentence appeared. 7 roads restored. Long Wei smiled. Another appeared. The keeper may rest. Long Wei blinked. Foam Lien leaned closer. "Did your book just tell you to take a break?" "I believe it did." Historic. Long Wei closed the chronicle before it could change its mind. Far above them, the celestial veil shimmered. No longer a barrier. No longer a prison. A tapestry of roads stretched across creation. And for the first time in 3,000 years, no world stood alone. But very far away, beyond Earth, beyond the between, beyond every road that had been restored, stood a dead tree. Its branches were black. Its roots curled through an empty world. Nothing moved beneath it. Nothing breathed. Nothing dreamed. Then, deep inside its hollow trunk, something opened its eyes. Once. And waited. End of Episode 3. The Celestial Veil. Episode 3. The Bridge Between Worlds. Next, Episode 4, where the first tree died.